Good afternoon, everybody. Hi, thanks for joining us. I'm just going to take a couple minutes here to update you on what's going on with AgriSuite. It is not terribly earth-shattering. I'll start with the most exciting thing first, and then the presentation will peter off with progressively less exciting tidbits as I go on. But anyway, let's start this off. Big news is there will be a new release to production on Wednesday, April 9th. It's going to be a late afternoon release. Please be out of the application by 4 p.m. And then it should be ready to go again after midnight if you care to get up and check it out. But yeah, it shouldn't be a big deal. There will be a few changes that you may notice. There'll be some accessibility improvements that we had to put in, keyboard and screen reader, color contrast, things like that, making the program more accessible to all. There's some general text updates to improve the clarity of a few of our functions. Some naming things have changed, like calculations and plans have just been moved back to calculations, things like that. We've updated our ministry name. Some of the text will be displayed differently, things like scientific notation. CH4 for methane is no longer just CH4, it's CH, and the 4 is a subscript. The same with P2O5 for phosphate. The 2 and the 5 are subscripts, that kind of thing. Just looks a little more professional. And there are a number of tool tips that have been added for units and acronyms. You'll see a few more of the little green information buttons, I believe. Let's see, what else? Things you will notice. I'm not going to do any demonstrations today. I'll show you a couple things here. The home page only loads a portion of your calculations, which should really speed things up for you when you're opening up your first page. So if I pull this in, Janet, do you see AgriSuite now?
I do.
Or Matt? Matt? Okay, cool. It's going to default to 10, I believe, for the first time when you come in. You can change that. You can have more items per page, but it's only going to load the first 10 items depending on how you've got them sorted. If it's sorted by date modified or name or whatever, it's going to load a lot fewer things to start with, and that should speed up the loading. Under Create New, things have been sorted a little differently, and it should be clearer and easier to find what you're going to create. And if you're wanting to delete something, it was hard to keep track of what you were deleting. So if you're deleting something, the name of what you're deleting now appears in the text box. So that should make things a little bit clearer there too. There's a few contrast and text changes, layout changes that you'll notice. Functionality should remain pretty much exactly the same. Get rid of that. Sorry, just need to see my screen here. Yes, one thing that I haven't talked about, there's an information flag requiring unnecessary information when you were putting in an incoming transfer. That's been fixed, so you no longer have to put in the field area from a farm that was importing manure from that farm. There's a strange unit conversion factor that was going on where values were being double converted. Seemed to occur in the field tab in certain scenarios where you change a value and then before going off that field, you went up and immediately changed, for instance, field size, you changed the acres and then went up and switched it over to hectares or the other way around. Sometimes it got double converted. Happened to application rates too, and that has been found and fixed. Couple regulatory loading flags have been improved. Specifically, one I'll talk about it in NASM. If you have not applied any NASM in the previous 4 years, the phosphorus loading only looks forward in time, not backwards as well. That should make things a little bit easier for people. There's still a few things we're trying to get right and won't be included in this new release. Cover crops are not working correctly. I don't know why. They used to work correctly. Now it doesn't, and it's proving difficult to fix. So we're working on that, but it's not going to get better in this release. I'm still tweaking the nutrient management plan reports and NASM plan reports. Let me know what you'd like to see different. Richard St. Jean, I think I saw you were on. You submitted a question about a calculation, the percent allowable phosphorus. I'll have to get back to you on that. I'm pretty sure it's the same way it's always been calculated, back to the old Silverlight base AgriSuite. So we'll get back to you on that. That doesn't mean that it's doing it correctly. It's just consistent with the old program. So we'll talk through it with the developer and see if something needs to be done there. So thanks for that question, Richard. Yeah, if there's other things you'd like to see show up differently or like to see show up, please send it to me in an email. That makes it easier for me to share it with the developers. There is a persistent issue that I've been working with a number of people on where some material types seem to lose track of the material form. Specifically, I think it's always liquid showing up as solid all of a sudden. It occurs periodically. It's hard to nail down, but by playing with the material types and the storage system, you can eventually fix it. Playing around is not a kernel of advice I like to give. It doesn't sound very professional, doesn't inspire confidence in my skills in any way, but it is the term the developer used, so it is a professional programming term. But if you run into this, please create a copy of the JSON file, send it to me, and give me a call. I need to know a little bit around what you were doing when the issue comes up. So if you can remember what steps you were taking just before it happened, it'd be nice to know that. Try to remember the details. But an example of playing around, you change a nutrient parameter and then change it back. So you could go into the nutrient analysis of the manure, change the nitrogen value to something, tab off of it, go back in and change it to what it's supposed to be. That often remedies it, but not always. But anyway, if you run into it, create a copy of the JSON, send it to me, give me a call, if you would, please. And I have also run into a number of issues where AgriSuite seems to stop saving changes. From what I can tell, it's almost always tied to a data quality issue from an imported .agri file from the old program. Common issues when this happens is the postal code is excuse me, is in the wrong format or has extra characters in it or is a word, or field size comes in and it doesn't like what the field size is for some reason. Go through it, go through your inputs and look for input boxes outlined in red. That'll be an indicator that there's an issue. And again, create a JSON file, send it to me, give me a call. We'll sort it out. Been able to sort out most of those fairly quickly, but again, almost always tied to data quality coming in from a .agri file. I believe that's all I have, Janet. Yes, it is. So that's it for me.
Dale, there was a question from Janet Harrop in the chat.
Okay.
Janet, is that a question for Dale?
What was it, Janet?
Okay.
Either Janet?
Yeah, either Janet. Her question, she had a question around emptying of septic tanks every 3 years as per nutrient management. Is this just for food processing tanks. The conversation, and I'm not sure where this conversation was, suggested that this applied to household septic tanks. Can you speak to this issue? Someone else, who coincidentally is named ASDF, said household septic tank cleanouts involves hauled sewage septage, which requires an ECA. And then Janet said the suggestion at the meeting was that household septic tanks need to be emptied every 3 years. That was more the question.
This is just anecdotal, so it's not going to be anything official, Janet, but yeah, there's nothing in the nutrient management regulation that would ever consider speaking to a house septic tank. There is some stuff in there about milk house wash water using a a settling tank and treatment trench system. I believe I remember it has something in there about it's got to be serviced periodically. I don't know if it's 3 years or not, but there's absolutely nothing in the nutrient management regulation that's going to tell you how to manage your household septic tank. Matt, do you want to add anything to that?
I'll just give a quick
Yeah, go ahead, Jen.
context if I can.
Yep.
So it was actually a discussion around short-term rentals in the rural area and some of the regulations that would be having the municipality come in and ask for an inspection of your septic system. And the conversation kind of, somebody said, well, you know, your septic system with nutrient management has to be emptied every 3 years. And I said, well, sort of outside the jurisdiction of nutrient management, but I'm just trying to figure out where they may have gotten the suggestion. And I know having a functioning septic system in the rural area, if it's built and engineered properly, you want to leave it alone. Like you don't want to be opening it and emptying it that frequently. So I just wondered if either of you had any context as to that.
I don't. It could be some in EFP. I don't know. Just purely guessing on where questions I've had before. But yeah, as Dale said, nothing to do with nutrient management. Yeah, there is a BMP book on septics. Yeah, I'm not sure. Oh, there's Dan. Good.
Sorry, Matt, it's Dan Ward here. Septics are under the building code. You're better to check with your municipality, but they're regulated under the 10,000 liters and less a day type septic. Your typical residential septic are Part 8 of the building code, and those are regulated through your municipal building, like your building official building code. I would check with them. They are not under the Nutrient Management Act. Anything that involves bodily waste is not covered under the Nutrient Management Act. It's anyways.
That was my comment in the meeting. Thank you for the response.
Yes, and it's good to know, Janet, that some of those misconceptions are still out there, despite the fact that we lament often about the fact that when you talk even municipal biosolids and you talk septic, they're on different planets, and we have to keep explaining that. And clearly, we need to keep explaining that. So thanks for that.